Today we will talk about human digestive system. The first section of the gastrointestinal tract is the mouth, where the food is crushed and ground, then propelled towards the stomach by peristalsis. Chemical digestion also starts here. Food that enters the oral cavity is crushed and ground by the teeth through biting and chewing. The tongue moves the food around in the oral cavity. The bolus is then pushed into the esophagus via the pharynx. The saliva produced by the salivary glands serves to moisten the chewed food to the consistency suitable for swallowing. Saliva contains water, ions of inorganic salts, mucin, enzymes, and other proteins. Amylase, the digestive enzyme found in saliva, starts the digestion of starch in the oral cavity. The tongue pushes the bolus towards the pharynx during swallowing. At the same time, the opening from the pharyngeal cavity to the nasal cavity is blocked, so that no food can enter it when we sneeze. The epiglottis covers the larynx when we swallow and prevents the bolus from entering the trachea. If food nevertheless enters the trachea, the cough reflex is triggered to remove foreign material from the respiratory tract. The peristaltic motion of the esophagus ensures that the bolus continues to the stomach. The stomach is a large hollow organ in the gastrointestinal tract, located between the esophagus and the small intestine. It plays an important role in sterilizing and temporarily storing food coming from the esophagus. The digestion of proteins also begins here. The peristaltic movement of the stomach mixes and increases the surface of food, thus making digestion easier. Food from the esophagus enters the body of the stomach through the cardia. The outermost surface of the stomach is covered by a serous membrane. Below the serosa, there is a circular, an oblique, and a longitudinal smooth muscle layer. The peristaltic motion is generated by the synchronized movement of the muscle layers. The innermost surface of the stomach is lined by a mucous membrane known as gastric mucosa. The mucosa contains parietal, foveolar, and chief cells. Parietal cells secrete hydrochloric acid, which provides an acidic environment within the stomach. Pepsin needs an acidic environment to break down proteins. It is also important to break down ingested pathogens found in food. Foveolar cells produce the mucus that protects the stomach lining from the adverse effects of gastric juices. Chief cells produce pepsinogen, the precursor of pepsin. Pepsin is activated in the presence of hydrochloric acid. Stomach content enters the small intestine through the pylorus. The small intestine is the site of nutrient absorption and further digestion. Nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. The human digestive system can be divided into an upper and a lower tract. The stomach, where proteins are digested, is the final part of the upper digestive tract. The content of the stomach proceeds to the small intestine. Here, the enzymes in the intestinal juice and pancreatic juice break down the essential nutrients, that is, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Intestinal juice is produced by the glands of the small intestine, while the pancreas secretes pancreatic juice. The bile produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder is also emptied into the small intestine. The bile does not contain digestive enzymes. It emulsifies fat drops to aid in their digestion. The outer layer of the small intestine is the serous membrane. Under this layer, there are layers of longitudinal and circular smooth muscle. The synchronized motion of these two muscle layers ensures the peristaltic motion of the contents of the small intestine. The digestive system is lined by a mucous membrane, which consists of a thin layer of smooth muscle, connective tissue, and epithelium. The glands that secrete the intestinal juice are embedded in the mucous membrane. Circular folds increase the absorptive surface of the small intestine. Microvilli and villi further increase the absorptive surface of the small intestine. Carbohydrates and amino acids, released by the digestion of proteins, are absorbed into the blood vessels, while lipids are absorbed into the lymph vessels. Now we talk about the glands in human digestive system, starting with liver. The liver is the largest gland in the human body. In adults, this reddish-brown organ weighs about 1.5 kilograms. Its best-known function is bile production, but it also plays a key role in several metabolic processes. The hepatic portal system is located at the lower part of the liver. The hepatic portal vein, the hepatic artery, and the nerves enter at this point, and the lymphatic vessels and common hepatic bile duct exit here. The liver receives its blood supply via two blood vessels. The hepatic portal vein ensures that nutrients absorbed by the gastrointestinal tract reach the liver, while the hepatic artery provides the liver with oxygen. The hepatic vein is responsible for carrying blood away from the liver. The liver consists of two lobes which contain numerous hepatic lobules with a distinctive structure. The hepatic artery, the hepatic portal vein, and the interlobular bile ductules form a portal triad embedded in the connective tissue between hepatic lobules. Blood enters the central vein from the hepatic portal vein and the hepatic artery, which run between the cells of the hepatic lobules. Bile canaliculi, located between hepatic cells, collect bile produced by the cells and carry it to the interlobular bile ductules. One of the functions of the liver is to neutralize toxic substances that are absorbed in the intestines, as well as to inactivate viruses and bacteria that are found in the blood. The liver converts these into harmless substances. It also plays an important role in the metabolism of macromolecules, including lipids and proteins. The liver builds these macromolecules from their constituents, according to the needs of the body. The liver is also essential in maintaining the body's glucose level, as it is capable of storing energy in the form of glycogen. When the blood glucose level drops, the liver breaks glycogen down into glucose. Bile is carried to the gallbladder via the bile ducts. While stored in the gallbladder, bile becomes concentrated and is then released into the duodenum, where it disperses fat drops in food as it is being digested. The large intestine is an extension of the lower digestive tract. It contains the cecum, the colon, the rectum, and the anus. The appendix is an extension of the cecum. When it is inflamed, it requires immediate surgical removal. No digestion takes place here. However, water and minerals are absorbed here. Certain bacteria are also present. They produce vitamins B and K. Antibiotics can damage the gut flora. Therefore, it is recommended that we take probiotics during or after antibiotic treatments. The content of the colon moves from the cecum to the rectum. Water is absorbed in the rectum, which plays an important role in forming stool. The outer layer of the colon is the serous membrane. Under this layer, there are layers of longitudinal and circular smooth muscle. The synchronized movement of these two muscle layers ensures the peristaltic movement. These waves propel the content of the intestines. The innermost layer of the colon is the intestinal mucosa. On the surface of the intestinal mucosa, goblet cells are embedded in intestinal epithelial cells. Goblet cells are unicellular glands that produce mucus, whose function is to lubricate and protect the mucosa membrane. Water, minerals, and vitamins are absorbed through the intestinal epithelial cells.